we all stand for a prayer.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina shiratal mustaqim. Shiratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Ya Allah, tutulungan kami sa matitwalalan niya. Allah, guide kami sa langat ng Diyos.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Sir Jonas. Good evening, visitors. Mabuhay!
Okay, so you can take your seats.
Yes, sir.
So tonight is a very special night because tonight we have here our respected teachers of Lagao National High School. They are here to help us in our activity tonight. Okay, so but before that, let us first have a review on our previous lesson. So our lesson was on climate change and on carbon footprints. So what did we learn about this lesson? May I ask somebody? May I ask Joel? Joel, please, can you share to us what you're learning about on the topic?
We learned in this activity that the normal things we do in our daily lives or activities is that contribute carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Okay, so yes, that's it, no? So we learned in that lesson that our daily activities, the things we normally do, from starting the morning until we go to bed, this contributes to the buildup of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So I'm talking about our uses when we use the appliances. So it takes electricity and somehow the energy requirements, diba? And also the use of water. As we know, that water being pumped out using an energy, diba? We call that, with that I'm talking about the electricity, right?
Yes.
And also on the food we buy and eat, diba? So all of this contributes to the buildup of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And also, not to forget, the fuels we use at home. So it's commonly we use charcoal at home, right? Okay, so tonight, part of our lesson on climate change and carbon footprints, we will have an activity about the advantages and disadvantages of the use of charcoal in our households. So with that, let us be guided with the following objectives. First, let us examine the advantages and disadvantages of the use of charcoal to man and its impact to environment. Second, we have justify whether to continue or put an end in the use of charcoal as a common household fuel in General Santos City through a debate. And also after that, we are going to suggest activities to lessen the environmental impact of the use of charcoal in our worsening environmental condition. So to help us with our activity, we have here respective guests from the day class. We have Mrs. Eleneta Bandejas, ma'am, Master Teacher of the Science Department. Also, you have Ma'am Carmelita Florentino, the Science Department Head. Chairman of the Board of Judges, we have Ma'am Glada Asignacion. And also, our technical support, Sir Richie Barte. Sir, good evening. Okay, now, so let us remember that let us have a healthy debate, diba? So part of that, we need to listen, diba? We need to listen and be a good speaker, right? And of course, we need to remember whether you win or lose, let's learn from it and also learn from the experience. What I'm trying to say is learn from the experiences we will have tonight. Okay? So may I call now Ms. Apo de Lusa, our moderator for tonight's activity.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, classmates and teachers. My name is Apo Joy de Lusa. I will be your moderator for this motion that the use of charcoal on the that the use of charcoal in General Santos City must be prohibited. Tonight's debate parliamentary rules governing the kinds of the debate shall be applied. Each speaker will have 3 minutes time period to deliver its speeches. At the 10 seconds mark, a bell will sound to signal that your time is almost up. This time, let us recognize the member of the government side. We have Judge Jessa de Meletes as the Prime Minister, Sara Caballero as the second Prime Minister, Jenny Rose Quijano as the first Deputy Opposition Leader, the first Deputy Prime Minister, Christine Rufino as the second Deputy Prime Minister, Jennifer Rose as the first Government Whip, Dave Ventura as a Vice Speaker of the government side. Now, for the opposition side, we have Joy Evangelista as the opposition leader, Lori Jane Sugay as the second opposition leader, Marian Joy Duhali as the first deputy opposition leader, Jerlene Manigo as the second deputy opposition leader, Jessa Acharon as the first opposition whip, and Norbeline Matin as the reply speaker of the opposition side. Now, for the debate proper, let us have the first speaker from the government side. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good evening, classmates and teachers. This house believes that the use of charcoal in General Santos City must be prohibited. As defined by U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, charcoal is the solid carbon residue following a carbonization of carbonaceous raw material. The principal raw material in making wood charcoal includes soft to medium to hardwood, shrub, and trees. In our country, specifically in our locality, the raw materials used in making charcoal ranges from fruit trees to hardwoods. In our area, the principal use of charcoal is for cooking and as a source of heat energy. It is produced through controlled burning in an earthen kiln. A kiln is a hole on the ground where raw material are put and burned and then covered by soil until such time it becomes charcoal. According to Wikipedia, General Santos City is classified as a highly urbanized first-class city with a population of 538,086 in 2010 National Census, making it the 50th most populous city in the Philippines, with an average of 4.3 members per household. Most of the household, if not all, uses or make use of charcoal as a source of energy for cooking foods. With the facts I mentioned, as an additional statement I found in Wikipedia, the process of charcoal making is a major cause of deforestation in the countries of Africa, Europe, South America, and Asia. Not only it involves painstaking labor, but also the process of softwood charcoal is increasing from time to time. What could be the reason for its skyrocketing price? Simple. The raw material, specifically the trees and some shrubs used in making charcoal, is becoming scarce. What could be the greatest implication of this? Ladies and gentlemen, needless to say, but the threat it poses to environmental degradation that contributes to climate change. Thank you.
The opposition speaker will now have his time. Your 3 minutes starts now.
This side of the House does not support the motion the use of charcoal in General Santos City must be prohibited. This side of the House accepts the definition presented by the government side on the definition of charcoal, that is a solid carbon residue after the carbonization of carbonaceous material like wood coming from trees and shrubs. But the first speaker forgets about this definition of charcoal. It is a cheap fuel source that can be easily used for cooking, and it is relatively safer compared to LPGs. Charcoal has been used since earliest times for a large range of purposes, including art and medicine. But by far its most important use has been as a metallurgical fuel, that is, according to Wikipedia. The first speaker forgot that more 46% of these cannot afford to have their own house. They are just renting and some living in their relatives. This is an implication that there is more low average earning families living in a city. I am proud, even though that I belong to that group. With such fact, affordable, reliable, and readily available fuel for cooking purposes is very important to an average and much more below earning household and families. According to FAO 2008 Forest and Energy Report, charcoal is the prime source of energy in most African countries, and it is the driving force in their economies. Worldwide, charcoal production has increased, rising by an annual 3.7% from 1990 to reach 44 million tons in 2000. Charcoal as being said in Wikipedia. This traditional fuel is not just valued in cooking but also in other valuable purposes. This is also evident in our locality as our food service industry is booming like our restaurants and lechon houses. With such increase, many families are benefiting on it too. Our cities and urban provinces economy is basically based on agro-industry. Part of it is the charcoal production, which is the livelihood of many of our people in the barangay like Banel, Balembog, Batumelong, Upper Labay, Sinawan, and Mabuhay. Also in nearby towns in the province of Sarangani like Alabel and Malapatan. Thank you and good evening.
Our next speaker, the second Prime Minister, government side. Your 2-minute strikes now.
Charcoal consumption is a very controversial issue, as the transformation process from wood to charcoal results in considerable energy loss, requiring significantly more forest resources to produce the same amount of energy. This has led to many countries, such as Kenya, Tanzania, Gambia, etc., to impose bans on charcoal. What has been said is the result of a study sourced from Wikipedia. Will we wait for this to happen in last remaining woodlands and forest areas? Like being said, climate change is here. One major cause of climate change is the loss of forest and woodlands. According to the Sahara Organization, charcoal production is a labor-intensive process employing a large number of people at different phases of process and distribution. It is estimated that charcoal production generates between 200 to 350 person-days of employment per terajoule of energy, compared to 10 person-days of terajoule for kerosene. In short, charcoal can never be said as an efficient source of energy, whether for cooking or as a source of energy. In addition, charcoal is an industry of African continent is the pointed cause of the massive forest destruction that has been documented in areas such as Virunga National Park in Democratic Republic of Congo. What is being considered a primary threat to the survival of mountain gorillas. Similar threats are found also in the country of Zambia. This is sourced from Wikipedia on the topic environmental implications of charcoal industry. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, this fact should be our eye-opener in doing what will be good for our country. Let us start in the city. Let's move and prohibit the use of charcoal in our beloved city. Thank you.
This time, we'll hear the second opposition leader. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good evening, respected guests and classmates. The use of charcoal can never be eliminated and should never be prohibited, as mentioned by our first speaker of the opposition side. Charcoal is widely used in any process. Charcoal is valuable as metallurgical fuel. Due to its porosity, it is sensitive to the flow of air, and the heat generated can be moderated by controlling the airflow to the fire. For this reason, charcoal is still widely used by blacksmiths. Charcoal has been used for the production of Roman
of iron since Roman times and steel in modern times, where it also provided the necessary carbon. With this, the value of charcoal as a fuel is very important. Many of our tools are made with the use of charcoal as a fuel in blacksmith shops. If charcoal would be prohibited in our city, there will be a relative increase in the price of our common tools, like knife, bellows, and even agricultural tools like axe, hook, and ricks. It will be hard for our farmers to till their lands without these basic tools, and if they insist of having tools, it will cost them more money. Other important of charcoal includes black powder component, carbon source for chemical reactions, for purification and filtration, as an activated carbon in art, horticulture, and medicine. With so many uses and more potential uses, charcoal is truly an amazing substance with such demand in the market. Many of people in our locality and in nearby provinces will benefit from this. Knowing that charcoal production is the bread and butter of our people, many families will be able to live in more improved lives and could somehow send their children to school, and someday will become agents of change, not within their families, but also in their community. Thank you.
The first Deputy Prime Minister will now have the floor to speak. Your 3 minutes starts now.
A pleasant evening to everyone. I will quote again what has been the result of study of the Shara.com. Charcoal making is a labor-extensive process. It employs a large number of persons at its different pace of making and marketing the charcoal. It is not actually beneficial to our people. As it is being said, it is a labor-extensive process. According to the result of study of Texon, June 1998, the children will perhaps be at school rather than gathering fuel wood and sticks for charcoal production, and the elderly now deserve to rest rather coping with their energy needs. With what I mentioned, the result of study is also true in our locality. In our area, it is noticeable that children, mothers, and elderlies help in the production of charcoal. If the task is left to the father only, the family will find it very hard to survive with the income it gained from their father's work. And so, in reality, the children are tasked to gather the woods in the charcoal making process. So instead of going to school, these children are made to help their family, and these children are deprived of one of our basic rights. That is our right for free education. According to the study of BNR 1991 and the SEAMEO 2001 environmental impacts of wood fuel production in Cebu, it is believed that overcutting of trees for local wood fuel needs is the major cause of deforestation and environmental degradation of islands. In fact, the total absence of primary forests in the islands was thought to lead to an acute wood fuel shortage. In the 1992 report stated, the province of Cebu is now in the stage where fiber is becoming scarce. The situation is so severe that the remaining forest resources are exploited at least 3 times their sustainable yield. Unfortunately, there are not many fuel wood plantations in Cebu, and if measures are not instituted now, example, improving conventional fuel distribution networks or massive establishment of firewood plantation, a widespread energy crisis would likely result. This is also true in our locality. As you look in our nearby mountains and highlands, it is very evident that there are large patches of lands with what left are grasses. What are the trees and the shrubs in that area? Then maybe it is in your house, or maybe the charcoal used earlier to cook your food.
Thank you. For the response, let us hear the first Deputy Opposition Leader side. Your 3 minutes starts now. Good evening, respected guests of the Department of Science and Technology, Forest Research and Development Institute. Thus, FPRDI showed that there is high demand for charcoal briquettes abroad. According to the country's top charcoal briquette makers, foreign buyers often buy in the large quantities, which most of them cannot meet. This means the door is wide open for anyone who wants to grab a piece of action in charcoal briquetting industry. Says Dr. Cortigera, FPRDI Director Dr. Romulo P. Agangan explained. A charcoal briquette is a compacted mass of fuel material made from a mix of charcoal, fines and binder, and low molded pressure. Although charcoal briquettes are not very well known in the Philippines, the product is already household in Europe and America. In some Asian countries, hotels and big restaurants use it for roasting. You see, there is really big business opportunity in charcoal. Charcoal is associated not only a household fuel, but also as an important cooking material in restaurants abroad. Evidence show that fuel charcoal are used non-power applications such as residential end uses, particularly cooking and industrial uses as well. Over the years, the consumption of fuel wood and charcoal has been notably highest in household sector, followed by industrial and commercial use. This is according to a DENR study published in the Daily Inquirer. Ladies and gentlemen, this house did not believe and does not support in the motion that the charcoal in General Santos City must be prohibited, as it is very clear that charcoal have a lot of benefits and possible business opportunity for our local people. Thank you. The second Deputy Prime Minister will now it's time to speak. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is very clear that the opposition cannot prove that more than the opportunities the charcoal industry can possibly give to our community. The truth is that it is a principal cause of deforestation in our community. It has been reported by the Central General Santos City that main cause of the depleting populations of mangroves in the coastal areas of our city and also of Sarangani Bay is that people cut them for firewoods. What is even worse based on the finding is that mangroves in the Sarangani Bay area cut and harvested to be made as hardwood. Based on the previous facts presented by my companions, good charcoal are those coming from hard and dense woods. My friends, if you have seen a mangrove tree and have the chance to examine it, I'll tell you, it's just wood or dense and hard perfect material for charcoal production. But my friends, let us not be fooled by the stand of the opposition. Let us look on the importance of mangrove in our community. In a very simple description of its importance, mangrove forests stabilize the coastline, reducing erosion from the storm surges, currents, waves, and tides. The intricate root system of mangroves also makes these forests attractive to fish and other organisms seeking for food and shelter from predators. This is according to the article published in Ocean Service report entitled, "What is a Mangrove Forest?" In addition, according to this, Mrs. Gallo, the president of the Zone 6 Bula Fishermen Association, who was tasked by the Sangguniang Barangay of Bula to oversee the efforts in reforesting the Bula Mangrove Rehabilitation Zone. The coastal area of Bula used to have around 500 hectares of mangrove forest area in 80s. At present, only around 30 hectares of scarcely populated mangrove area in their coastline. And she added that the loss of mangroves in the area is due to several reasons, like the conversion of mangrove forested area into the fish pond, cut and used for housing and firewood. And the last but not the least, the mangroves are cut and used as raw material in charcoal making in this area.
You, the second deputy opposition leader will now give his speech. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good evening, classmates and guests. My dear friends, cutting trees isn't always negative, as the government side would like to say. But first, let me expound on the socio-economic benefits of charcoal production. My friends, it is basic for employment and income generation, are the primary charcoal production. The charcoal production and use industrial is a multi-billion business from which both rural and urban households derive income. Allow me to quote the result of the Stockholm Industry Report and their study on the economic impact of charcoal industry in African countries. Although, to a great degree informal, charcoal production and trading provides the largest number of jobs of any energy industry in Zambia, and is on par with formal sectors such as mining and agriculture. The replacement of charcoal is a household fuel. The other fuels implies considerable investment, especially in foreign exchange. Such an option will have considerable negative impacts on the national economy, including loss of employment and income in both rural and urban areas, while contributing little to reduce the deforestation, which is largely agricultural driven. According to the said report, and I quote, contributing little to reduce the deforestation. My friends, it is not charcoal production, it's the primary and the ultimate culprit of climate change, as the government side are always pointing. According to them, cutting fiber and producing charcoal from woodlands help rekindle traditional woodland management to the benefit of trees, the wildlife, and the owners. In our country, it's not always the cutting of trees that is the source of charcoal production. According to study of British logging waste such as tops, branches, stumps, abandoned logs, and damaged residuals and wood trims were also produced as raw material of charcoal production. The waste product of these processes are made into fuel wood and charcoal production, which on the other hand become extra income for average earners working in the company. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, we will hear the first government whip for her speeches. Your 3 minutes time is now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and guests. According to the study of Coxon and Jayasuriya in 2003, they found out that about 30% of the total population of the country, particularly the poor, depends upon forest resources for their survival. With a total land area approximately 300 square kilometers, of which 34.85% was under forest cover in 1972. Back in the 70s, the Philippines was touted to have the most diversified and economically valuable forest reserve in Southeast Asia. It had extensive reserves of broadleaf tropical hardwoods and considerable reserve in Southeast Asia. Reserve of middle leaf softwoods, particularly in Luzon. Today, however, according to Francisco and de Los Angeles study in 2003, they noted that only 3% of the original forest covers remain. According to Charcoal Industrial Production by Dr. Miguel Grosero et al., the quality of charcoal depends on both wood species used as a raw material and on the proper application of the carbonization technologies. Charcoal produced from hardwood like beech or oak is heavy and strong. Charcoal made from softwood, on the other hand, is soft and light. This is the very reason why our hardwood species are becoming few.
The second deputy opposition leader will now give its speech. Your 3 minutes starts now.
A pleasant evening to everyone. It is still widely assumed in the Philippines that wood fuel extraction contributes to deforestation and environmental degradation. In addition, because of rapid loss of forests and in the Philippines in the last 30 to 40 years, it also generally accepted the youth countries facing or readily experiencing wood fuel shortage. This perception persists despite a growing body of evidence indicating that most wood fuel production in the Philippines come from agricultural areas, and that tree planting and management for wood fuel purposes and widespread in many regions of the country. May I mention the article Mr. Pinili of Davao City entitled Charcoal Production in Davao City, published in Raw Volume 38. He said charcoal is the carbon residue that has been used to produce heat energy by humans, perhaps since the beginning of the civilization. Generally, charcoal is used for industrial production and as a home fuel. Its specific uses by differ from time to time, person to person, place to place, or depending on the status of the people using it. Today, charcoal is the one of the cheapest sources of commercial energy in the Philippines and maybe in other countries where trees are abundant. It is now one of the best alternative sources of home fuel considering the present economic crisis. He added charcoal in this part of countries is still one of low level, but with the significant of farmer producer participating in the industry, it was able to substantially reduce volume enough to cushion the impact skyrocketing prices fuel like LPG, gasoline, and electricity. In response to the issue, gas on gas and release in the production process, allowed me to cite the article of Toxic Carbon Corporation. Carbon dioxide emission from wood fuel system are the 95% lower than gas, oil, LPG, and electric system in the most cases. This is because the carbon dioxide that is released from burning wood has the same amount that was absorbed from the atmosphere during the growth of trees. The only one carbon dioxide released from the fossil fuel used during its processing and transport, which is why wood fuel works at best local scale and can be referred to as carbon link. Thank you.
At this point, we'll hear the reply speaker on the opposition side. Let us hear for her speech. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, guests, once again, good evening. I am to close our argument about this issue. Hear me, as I swear that the motion presented is wrong and cannot be just and right in this part of the country and elsewhere in the country. After all my companions had expressed our stand on this motion, we believe that we are the winner of this debate. It is evident that we are suffering a financial crisis. With this, it is going on everywhere that families are shifting from using LPG as its prices are skyrocketing. As mentioned by the study of Mr. Pinili, Filipino cuisine influences the demand for the use of charcoal. And I agree that many dishes are best or most efficiently cooked using charcoal. I cannot compare our favorite lechon being cooked in an open flame of LPG. While more sectors suffer the impact persons who are engaged in repacking charcoal to a more affordable sizes and retailing. The use of fuel wood has been the lifeblood of the poor. To many of us, the use of charcoal in cooking our food is our way of eliminating harmful effects that may other energy sources like LPG and electric stoves pose in our health. However, charcoal productions are expected to cut more trees as it's the most efficient raw materials. It will create more pressure to the environment. But these risks posed to the environment are challenges that can be turned into opportunities. Actually, charcoal industry is already doing its part. Like mentioned by my companions, farmers are turning the dominantly common grass hillsides into trees that will be used in charcoal production. We have policies now that are designed so that the carbonaceous material from agricultural waste can be utilized as raw materials in making charcoal, like in the production of charcoal briquettes. Like being said, the only carbon dioxide being released in the charcoal production is from the fossil fuel during its processing and transport. With this, we can help lessen the environmental impact of producing more carbon dioxide if we buy charcoal produced in our area. Thank you and good evening.
side of the speaker and the reply speaker from the government side. Your 3 minutes starting now.
Good evening. That this is a must considering our environment current conditions. Charcoal is one of the most environmental unfriendly fuel. Charcoal is produced in traditional cans and molds using wood cut from rainforest and with unchecked emission spread into the atmosphere. My companion had already emphasized that the process of charcoal production involved the painstaking labor not only to the person doing it but most importantly to our environment. Children are made to help in the process instead to going to school. A major health effect of charcoal productions appear to be associated with good cutting and preparation helps where the rest for cutting, strands, and back problems appear to be high. The risk of severe burns during the kilns management may also be considered a serious risk, plus additional health risks such as exposure to gases, smoke and heat while tending the kilns appear to be of dangerous to people's health. It is very clear that the opposition side was not able to address such problem associated with the process. Of all, their point is based on the importance of charcoal as fuel for cooking food and for heating. I wonder if the opposition side heard about butane. It's cheap, it burns well and produce less gas smoke compared to charcoal. If we are too dependent on charcoal, surely our forests and woodland they are numbered. It is not far that these resources will be gone, all and cut and made into charcoal. My friends, such problems is already evident not only in our area but in developing countries all over the world. For this last time, charcoal production is not only the cause of deforestation but also process health risks in the process of production and in using it. When we wait for the time that all our woodland are gone. Like being said, climate change is here. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, and let act now. Let us start by prohibiting the use of charcoal in General Santos City. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
At this time, I will give the floor to our teacher to facilitate the question and answer portion. Sir?
Okay, so very good. Once again, may I ask everybody to please clap their hand. This juncture, we will now proceed with the question and answer portion. So, the government side can ask questions to the opposition side, and also the opposition side can raise questions to the government side. Anybody would like to ask the first question? Jessa, you are recognized. Please stand.
My question is addressed to the first speaker. You have mentioned that charcoal is safer compared to LPG. How can you prove or say that charcoal is safer compared to LPG?
Okay, so I think the first speaker of the opposition has the answer, so you are recognized.
Thank you for that wonderful question, Ms. Jessa. But we all know that charcoal give hazards or dangerous like serious burns. But compared to LPG, they cause fire in our house or hazards if the LPGs is left unattended, it will cause fire in our house.
Okay, so I think the speaker said that yes, LPG poses stress because if you left the LPG open, it causes fire. So in that case, it poses a greater risk compared to charcoal. That's according to our first speaker. Now, what about others? Other questions? Yes, Dave, you are recognized.
How can you prevent or avoid the global warming?
Who would like to answer? The question is, how are you going to avoid global warming? That is according to the speaker from the government side. Yes, go ahead, you are recognized.
First of all, we can say that we can say that we can avoid global warming because everywhere there are car smoke or charcoal is not the only cause of global warming. It also caused by the car smoke in our streets or roads.
Okay, so according to the speaker, according to Joel, yes, you'd like to ask? So according to him, so it's not just charcoal, the use of charcoal is the primary cause of global warming. Is he right? Maybe he's right, but in this case, charcoal is actually a cause, right? But then again, it has benefits. What about the other, yes? Miss Iliana, you are recognized?
If charcoal is prohibited in our city, what can you suggest to use for making common tools and agricultural tools?
The question is about the use of charcoal in blacksmiths and producing tools. Anybody from the government side would like to answer? Yes, Dave, you are recognized.
Not only charcoal can be used to melt that metal. We can also use acetylene to melt the agricultural tools. We can use also acetylene to melt the agricultural tools.
Yes, the reaction. Go ahead, you have a reaction.
But charcoal is cheaper. But what you mentioned, what is that?
Acetylene.
This costs much or more expensive, I think.
Okay, a reaction coming from the government side. Ms. Nessa, you are recognized.
Are you sure that acetylene is more expensive than charcoal?
Yes, go ahead. You may.
I don't know. I'm sorry, sir, but I don't know what is acetylene is, but most of us know that it is expensive and charcoal is much cheaper than acetylene.
Okay, so the idea was about the use of charcoal in melting metals to produce tools, agricultural tools to be specific. So according to Dave, he said instead of using charcoal, we can use acetylene, diba? And the government sa opposition side reacted that it is not, it's not cheap, right? So, and also Ms. Jessa replied that how are you sure that the acetylene is not cheap? Anyway, so again, the both sides able to present their answer. So any question? Yes, Ms. Manigo.
If charcoal production prohibited in General Santos City, what should we do to the people or sailors of charcoals who depends their income in charcoal production?
Okay, so the question was, if we are going to prohibit the use of charcoal in General Santos City, what will happen to the people who are dependents of this industry? We're talking about the charcoal makers in this city. Yes, you have an answer?
Charcoal production is not the only occupation in our city or in our country. If the charcoal production will be banned, will be approved in our city, they can plant in their backyard so that they have source of income.
Okay, so according to the government side, if charcoal is to be banned, the people who are dependent.
Yes, we all know that charcoal is easy and planting is very
It's very time consuming. You can say that.
we can all see that this is the process of charcoal making. If we are
You can do it. Go.
if
We allow.
if we continue cutting trees,
If we continue cutting trees, and what will happen?
it results to deforestation and it results to worsening condition of our environment.
Okay, so maybe the point of this Jessa is if we are going to continue cutting our trees to supply the charcoal making process, so according to her, it will all end up to deforestation. And we all know the impact of deforestation, right? So I think, yes, Miss Wati, you have a reaction?
Not just trees can be used in charcoal making. We can use common grass, rice hull, and other coconut shells.
Okay, so there's a reply from this side. According to them, charcoal production nowadays is not only dependent on trees and shrubs. According to them, we can use now, what's that again? Now, what's that again? Common grass, rice hull, and of course, not to forget, coconut shells. Right? So, yes, there's a question. Yes, Miss Ross, you have a question?
According to the opposition side, they are not supporting the motion because charcoal is very important to the people. But my question is, how can you lessen the impact of the worsening condition of our environment?
Okay, so according to Miss Ross, so how can you lessen the impact of charcoal production? Yes, Miss Wati, you recognize?
We can help lessen the worsening of our environment condition when we buy charcoal produced in our area, because the only carbon dioxide being released in the charcoal production is from the fossil fuel during its processing and transport.
Okay, so according to the answer of Miss Wati, so she said that the only carbon dioxide produced in the charcoal production is that one used in the process and in the transport. Because maybe according to her answer, it's the same amount of carbon dioxide which the trees had taken in order to grow, and when you cut it and you transform it into charcoal, that's the same amount of carbon dioxide. Because I think that's the thought of being carbon lean substance, right? Okay, so any comment to that?
Questions?
There's a question. May I recognize first Joed, then after that Dave?
In knowledge analysis, are using charcoal to cook the lechons or to, if the using of charcoal is prohibited, what do you suggest to use in cooking lechons?
Okay, so the question is about, again, on the use of charcoal. Specifically, lechon, in cooking, lechon, diba? So, the question is actually, if you're to ban charcoal, what will we use? Anybody from this side? Yes, Ms. Diminientes?
Not only charcoal can be used to cook lechon, we can also use oven or turbo.
Okay, that's a good answer. We can use oven and put it in a turbo boiler. So I think there's a valid reaction here. So yes, Joanne?
Ovens are heated by the charcoals. So, I mean that under the oven, there are charcoals burned to heat the metal to
Cook. Okay, so I think there's a violent reaction over here. So Jessa, yes, you're recognized. So according to him, the oven that you said uses also charcoal. Underneath the oven, they use charcoal.
Yes, we all know that oven uses charcoal, but it is the gases or smoke are lesser than the charcoal we are talking about.
Yes, Juliet, you have a reaction? It's about the gases being produced. According to him, there's more smoke.
But in oven there are a tube or a chimney in oven to let the gas out. And if you use electricity, it costs more money than charcoal.
Okay, that's it. So maybe the use of electricity will cost more rather than using charcoal, diba? I think Dave, you have a question earlier, so you are now recognized, Dave.
According to the opposition side, charcoal is used as a medicine, how can we use it as a medicine?
Okay? So the question is about, again, the use of charcoal. So, you have mentioned earlier that charcoal is also used in as a medicine. So, the government side would like to ask as to what particular medicine uses charcoal.
May kutsing sa likod.
Yes? Anybody? Go ahead.
It can use medicines. For example, if you have a cancer, charcoal are
Are being pounded? Yes, being pounded. Pounded, and then what? Pounded to pour, to make into powder, and then? Alright, so what they're trying to say is the thought, the idea on activated charcoal. So the answer for that, according to them, is on the thought of activated charcoal. Yes, yes, Ms. Tuhali, you are recognized?
Do you think that charcoal is bringing hazard to mankind? Or it is bringing opportunity to our poor people to have their income to help them in their daily lives?
So the question is, do you think that charcoal only is about hazards? Or don't you believe that charcoal only gives opportunities to poor people? As to the daily lives, to the poor earners, right? So, who can answer that? Ms. Jessa?
Maybe. It also hazard. It has also many benefits. But what is the purpose of that benefits? If that benefits also can also be hazard to our health.
Okay, so a reaction? Yes, Joel.
To avoid the hazards of the charcoal using, we can buy or use PPE or personal protective equipment like masks, face masks, or leather gloves.
Okay, so according to Joel, in order to address the health hazard posed in the process or in the making of charcoal, he suggested that the charcoal makers can use personal protective equipment. So, any comment to this? What about the others? Yes, Ms. Quijano, you are recognized. Yes, you are recognized, so you can now answer.
Right. You said that people can afford the LPG. People cannot afford PPE because they are poor.
Okay, so I think we need to, we will only give her now last two questions, please. Is that a question? A reaction, yes.
But yes, we cannot afford the PPE equipment, but we can also use a recycling clothes like jackets, shoes, and any recycling clothes in our house.
We have a lot of learnings tonight. How about let us try to ask questions from our audience. Okay, so from the audience, can you give us an idea? So we know that both sides clearly presented their arguments. Now they have defended their arguments very well. So it is now your turn. I will be asking you as to whether who between these two groups, whether it is the government side or the opposition side, is the winner for this debate. So may I ask Mr. Galamo for your idea?
For me, it is the opposition side is the winner because they have clearly support their stand on the motion, and they not clearly answer the question on the other side group, but they give their best answer on the question. And for me, we're able to support their stand better.
Okay, so according to you, it's the opposition side. So what about, may I ask also from this side, who do you think is the winner for this debate? Yes, you are raising your hand. You can answer now.
I think the winner is the government side
Government side, and why?
because
because they prove the use of charcoal in the Russian city must be prohibited is correct.
So according to you, the motion is correct, right? Okay, so how about the other one? Miss Latumano, you're there. So can you share to us, what do you think is the winner for this debate?
I think the government side is the winner because they delivered their agreement very well.
Okay, yes, according to Miss Latumano, it's the government side because they were able to deliver their argument very well. So, okay, so for audience, thank you for your participation. Now, so this time, we will now hear from our jurors. Diba? So, we will hear now who they think were able to present their arguments well and to be crowned as winners for this debate. So first, we call in. Any question first? Before we proceed to ano? We forgot to ask Mr. Tabi. Mr. Tabi, who do you think is the winner for tonight's debate before we go to our jurors?
For me, I think the government side is the winner.
Okay?
Because they are using charcoal to cook the rice, etc.
Then,
And I think if you use the charcoal, any kinds of food, so that the pollution must be less than
it must be stopped. Okay, so he supports the argument of the government side. Diba? So, for him, there's a need to stop the use of charcoal because maybe the idea is it causes environmental problems. Right, Mr. Tabe? Yes. Okay, thank you. So, I think the jurors now are ready. So, may we ask first the master teacher, the science master teacher, Ma'am Bandejas, to give her verdict rather. Ma'am, the floor is yours. Dito na lang tayo.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening po.
Now, as per criteria here, we have now for the government team, you got 156, the total score, while the opposition team got 161. Therefore, the opposition team is the winner. Now, in the sense that they gather more information about the use of charcoal and also the use of facts and statistics. Now, they can defend more than the government team. So, the winner is the opposition team.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we will hear from our department head of the science, Ma'am Carmi Florentino. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Good evening, students. Good evening, Good evening, teachers. I go for the opposition. They got a score of 144. Then the government team, which is 127. They are the winner. Okay, the opposition team is the winner because they supported the use of charcoal. General Assembly.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ma'am Carmi. And so this time, we will hear Ma'am Glenda Asignacion for her verdict.
But just 2 weeks ago, I think that you have heard about how is relating okay? So, I really appreciate what you have done this evening because you have shown what you can do in expressing your ideas. Okay, of course, my judging is based on your presentation and all of the information that you have presented, of course, to your classmates as part of your activities in your class. Okay. Actually, I already have total individually your scores, and I also have total all your scores for each team. Okay? But because of the rebuttals that you have added, I also have added some scores. Whoever have given the rebuttal. Okay? So, for me, the total for the government side is 126, while on the opposition side is 138. In my adjudication, it's also the opposition side who wins the debate. Okay? But the government side that should not worry, because I have chosen personally also the best speakers from their team and also from this team. Based on the total of the scores, speaker number 1, the Prime Minister of the government side is my best speaker. And on the opposition side, we also have speaker number 1 as the best speaker.
Okay, so thank you, ma'am. So once again, let us all give a big hand of applause. My dear students, let us always remember that in every competition there is always a winner and there is a loser. So you may lose this time, the opposition team may win this time, but let us all remember what is important is the learnings that we have tonight about charcoal and its impact on the environment. So the government side clearly has clear arguments, right? But it's the opposition side which we think has a better presentation of facts, statistics, and their arguments, right? But again, like I was saying, let us not forget the learnings we have today. So in any fuel source, there is always an advantage and disadvantage. Right? So in this, to be particular on the use of charcoal, there are benefits. So according to the government side, its importance, it's the use, its wide range of use, and the impact not on the environmental side, but on the impact on the socio-economic status of our people, while the government side clearly poses the challenge on the environmental impact it poses to our nature. Right? Nonetheless, all of you were able to present, to do your task, and with that, I thank you all. And now for your assignment next meeting, I'll be asking you to write a reflection paper for tonight's activity. Again, I'm asking you to write a reflection paper about the activity we have tonight. So in that, you need to remember, you need to state who is the winner of this debate and include also a suggestion. You suggest activities that will help lessen the impact of charcoal use into our worsening environmental conditions. With that, let's call it a night. So goodbye, class.
Good.